President Biden suggesting that Democrats made a deal with Republicans on support for Ukraine. The nature of this deal, the details, not quite yet clear, but it does come after the U.S. averted a government shutdown this weekend with a temporary funding bill. Without, however, money for Ukraine. There are concerns about the impact that might have on Ukraine as it continues to fight against Russia's invasion that has been going on now since February of last year. Retired U.S. Army Major General William Enyart with us now. Sir, as always, thank you for your time. Ukraine excluded from the government funding bill for now. It keeps the government open, but what does this mean for Ukraine? Is this just a temporary setback?
Well, Marni, that's absolutely a correct assessment of it. It is simply a 45-day extension of a continuing resolution. That's why it's called a continuing resolution, because it's an extension of the prior budget year. And although it didn't appropriate any new money for Ukraine, it didn't take any money away either. And generally in continuing resolutions, there's not new money appropriated. So this really isn't a big surprise. The real question is going to come when the budget for the current fiscal year that began October 1st finally gets put together. Several House Republicans have announced that they're not going to support any new money for Ukraine unless there's money for additional U.S. border security. So it's going to be a bargaining chip, frankly. Now, Senate Republicans are clearly supportive of continued Ukrainian funding. And likely a majority of the House Republicans are also, but there is a minority of House Republicans who oppose it and successfully kept it out of this resolution. And they're taking their lead from Donald Trump, who has announced his opposition to any further support for Ukraine.
Why is it in the U.S. best interest to continue supporting Ukraine? A question we often get.
Well, frankly, as long as there is peace in Central Europe, there's not a world war going on. You know, World War I began in Central Europe. World War II began in Central Europe. And if we allow Russia to conquer Ukraine, we are giving Putin an open door to his revanchism, where he wants to reconstruct the Soviet Empire and get into even more of a locked-in conflict with NATO. So I think it's really important that we not allow Putin as a dictator to dictate to the rest of the world what his borders are going to be. The international law governs this, and he is clearly breaching international law.
And speaking of NATO, a pro-Russian leader won Slovakia's parliamentary election. Slovakia is part of NATO. How significant may that be?
Well, Slovakia is a very small country. It has a small military. So in terms of overall impact, you know, clearly it doesn't, Slovakia doesn't have the voice that Germany or France or Britain or even Poland has. It is significant in that NATO operates by consensus. So if we have one small nation like Slovakia blocking the way, it could block the way for NATO, but it doesn't block the way for NATO powers, the real powers, such as the U.S. and France and Britain and Germany.
Right. And one of those big voices is Britain. British troops could deploy to Ukraine for the first time to train soldiers. How might Russia respond to that?
Well, Russia's already threatening that should the British soldiers move into Ukraine to train the Ukrainians, not to fight, but to train Ukrainians, that they would become legitimate targets and that the Russians would kill them. You know, we've seen the Russians constantly posture throughout this war, and they have not followed through on most of that posturing, any of that posturing really, against the major nations. They do threaten Ukraine and follow through on those threats. So, you know, from a logistics point of view, from a tactical point of view, it makes a lot of sense to put British soldiers into Ukraine to train the Ukrainians. It's a lot easier to do. But from a strategic and a political viewpoint, it is debatable. You know, certainly were British soldiers to be killed by a Russian military attack, whether it be artillery or missiles, on a Ukrainian training base, the question arises, what would Britain do? Would Britain seek to invoke Article 5 of the NATO treaty, which says an attack on one is an attack on all? And how would NATO respond?
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.